So thank you for joining me today for the Power Platform Bootcamp. This is the 8th day of the bootcamp in Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry I couldn't try. I tried renaming this number, but yeah, this is the 6th annual Power Platform Bootcamp. So thanks to our sponsors, we have Microsoft and Upzoids who has helped us prepare for this event, and without them, it might not be possible. So thank you for them. So let me start introducing myself and we'll move forward. Samir Makwana, I'm from Canada. It's 4:30 a.m. I'm late now, but I'll try to cover and finish up my session as soon as I can. So my area of expertise are Power Platform, Copilot Studio, Microsoft 365, cybersecurity, automation, and custom software solutions. This is a QR code for my LinkedIn. If you have any follow-up question, please reach out to me, and I'll be happy to answer that. I'm sorry, but can one of you confirm if you can hear me well? Because I've been having power outage and many other issues today. Just want to make
Hello,
sure.
Samir.
Yes,
Yes,
Mohammed.
we can hear you. And
All right.
thanks for joining us today. We know what is the circumstances that you face today about power outage. So we present a recording session mainly related to our bootcamp. So we understand what was the situation. So thanks for having you today, and the mic over to you, and you can start.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. I appreciate it. All right. So thanks everyone again for your patience. So today's agenda. So I'm going to explain the approach about this session quickly, and then we're going to directly jump into the demo. We'll go through a couple of workflows. We'll deep dive into the configuration in a Copilot Studio. I'll take you through a couple of use cases. We're not able to do hands-on today, but I'll try to explain some best practices. And we're not going to have a quiz today because this is an online session. And we're going to open up the floor for Q&A, and I'm looking forward to your feedback. So to start with the approach, as I said, we're going to have a demo. We're going to have a concept, a theory. We're going to have a demo again, like a deep dive on the configuration part, and then Q&A and feedback. So let me start with a quick question here. Can you recall a time when you missed the email, which caused a significant delay and issue to the client? Or what are the potential consequences of not addressing missing email issue promptly? Or how do you currently handle missing email issues? And can you estimate a time required for a service desk or action admin search missing email and get back to the user? So just to start with, because I'm sure every one of us in an IT career or non-IT career, we have seen these issues day in, day out, and we reach out to service desk by ourselves, or we might be service desk, or we might be that IT guy who handled those issues, right? And we know it takes time in different level to get those details out. So for example, if you are a service desk, you have certain limited permission and you have certain limited visibility on how that mail flow happened. So you need to rely on actual action admin team if you couldn't find that email by yourself, by assisting user, right? At the same time, if you are an action admin or messaging admin, you need to log in to certain tools and you need to find that email by running a message trace and so on, right? And at the same time, if you are a user who's submitting the ticket, it's definitely time-consuming process for you because you submit a ticket and now you're waiting for someone to come back to you and let you know what happened to that email. So this is one of the use cases I'm presenting today. Using Copilot Studio agent, we are trying to address employees issue within the user Teams chat using native Teams chat experience where user interact with the Copilot agents, which is AI powered bots, which can help them resolve their common IT issues like missing emails, for example, right? So basically, what I'm going to demo you today, I'm going to wear multiple hats. One of the hat I'm going to wear as an end user. One of the hat I'm going to wear as the IT architect who designed that code and show how that works. And another one is how relieved service desk or messaging admin when they see their primary work has been done by the agent already before they actually escalate the issue to the human, right? So I'm going to show you a quick demo how this whole agent and this IT service desk bot works like, okay? All right. So to start with the demo, this is my Teams, and I have published my agent called Cloudify Service Desk into my Teams. And consider I'm an end user. One of the day I find, okay, my email is not working as expected, and I was looking for an email from ECS Events, which is one of my client, and I'm expecting email from them. I didn't receive it. Something wrong. So it is impacting my productivity. And I want to reach out to service desk, but now I have a service desk agent itself on my Teams. So I can say, hey, I am missing an email from the client. And let's see what Copilot Studio agent or service desk agent has to say. So what I'm trying to do right now, I'm going to show you the end picture of what the results look like, and then we're going to backtrack and we're going to show you what exactly you configure in the backend. Okay. So think about when you have this issue, you reach out to service desk, what they generally do. They ask you to do certain, troubleshooting step, or they ask you some probing question. Have you checked your spam folder? Have you checked your junk folder? Do you know what's the email address? Do you have any rules in your Outlook which moves that email to certain or different folders, right? Is that user in a block sender list? And so on, right? So those are the questions generally service desk asks. Same question has been asked by ID service desk agent right now. Now, I am the user who followed this already, and I'm not satisfied with the answer about, or I still need further help. Or I would say I need to submit a ticket so someone can investigate on this issue, right? So I said, are you satisfied with the answer about? I said, no. And it says, please provide me the sender email address. So now I have tested this earlier in the day. So I'm just going to copy paste the sender address. I'm going to put it here. So think about this. I received the email from the client earlier, and I know what was the sender email address supposed to be. So I enter it as that. Now the bot is asking me what is the provided or what is the expected email delivery date. I think I supposed to receive this email earlier in this week. Let's say Wednesday. This week, Wednesday. Now it's smart enough because I provided in a Word format, and it should translate it in a date format for me. Now it's asking me to provide the email subject. Now, to be frank with you, I don't know what's the email subject, so we can try it with ECS or we can try with the star. So star is the wildcard character I put in my logic. So if we put a star, it will run the query on ultimate message trace using star. Okay. Right. Now, if you see what it says is, it's asking me to verify the information. Like the same way we call service desk, we provide information. just to make sure information is provided has been correct or not. They ask us on a call as well, right? The same thing. The agent is asking me over here to confirm whatever the information I provided are correct or not. So let's say, for example, sender email address, right? Oh, okay. Wait a minute. But how come the recipient email address came in here? I didn't provide the recipient address. I did provide an expected delivery date, but it was in a Word format. Now you can see it's translated into the date. So if you look at the calendar, this week, Wednesday, was the 7th of May, and that's how it's translated. But how come date or recipient email address came in? So when we move to the next demo of this presentation, I'll show you how I picked up this user who logged in into his team as an authenticated user, and how I'm fetching that user email address from their conversation with the agent, right? Because this tool is powerful because I provided some automation connected to this agent, and I don't want anybody to come and search emails for anyone else except themselves, right? Because I don't want a user to go and search email for, let's say, CEO or CTO, right? So the way it's configured so that whenever they submit any request like this, they can only do it for them unless we do a different workflow. Okay. So let's say, yeah, this information looks good to me. I say yes. Yeah. So now, as you can see, as generally service desks do for us, they provide us a ticket number, right? Agent also have created a ticket and provided me a ticket number right now. Now, this agent doesn't stop here. Basically, it's not agent, but there is some configuration connected with this agent, which actually do the work for us. And I'm going to demo that too as well in a part of the configuration. But what it does is in the background, it's used this ticket number. So basically, I don't have a ServiceNow tool because I don't have that subscription. However, I have used the SharePoint online list to simulate this situation as a ticketing tool where I submit this all the user information. It's stored into that list, and it automatically create a ticket number for me and reply back to the user with the ticket number. That's what it does. Now we can see we got one other message or the notification saying that we initiated a message to us for your ticket number, which is 803. Yeah, the same ticket number. And it is, again, confirming to us saying that, okay, I'm using this detail which you provided on the ticket to initiate the message trace in the background or on the back end, right? And it actually really did that message trace for us. And as you can see here, it has replied back to us saying that, okay, we found your email from this sender to you, was delivered on the specific time. Now, this can be more detailed if you want to, but this is just a POC I'm showing you. So there's not much of a detail, but if you really want, we can try to find out, was it delivered in the inbox, or was it delivered in the junk, or what was it got quarantined? What exactly happened, right? So all those details can be done as an enhancement, but this is just to show you what is can be done and how powerful it can be. So the next level, for example, I'm the user, so I'm not satisfied with this finding because you are saying me it's delivered on on 7th of May at this time, but I try to search through the folder manually going to that date and around that time, but I couldn't see it in my inbox. But I still need someone to help me, and this time I want some human to help me rather than an agent. So what I can do is I provided a choice. Do you want to escalate this ticket to the human for further investigation? So yes, as a user, I want to do that. So I click on that and I submit. And immediately you can see over here, there's one chat thing pop up on my screen. And when I click on it as a user, you can see here, I've been added for that ticket, that 803 ticket, where I have asked to escalate this ticket to the support agent, the human, right? And you can see defend 0365, that's my user for, I would say, agent creation or maker. And it has created a group chat with Samir Makwana, which is me, who submitted a ticket, with Ajit, who is a support agent, a real human. And it has provided some note to him as well, saying that, okay, this is the ticket number. Please reach out to the user to troubleshoot issue further. Now, Ajit already have access to this ticket, and whatever work has been done by the agent should be logged into the ticket by itself. So when Ajit reach out to Samir, like me, he already know with this ticket that, okay, this all has been done, message trace has been initiated by the agent, and what has been found, so that when Ajit go and start working with the user, all the pre-work has been done, right? Okay, so this was the part of the first demo. Just going to stop sharing so I can switch to the configuration portion, and I can start the PowerPoint and the workflow again for you. So just give me 1 second, like few seconds, and I should be with you. Okay, we can still continue talking. Meanwhile, if you guys have any question, feel free to post in or ask me. Meanwhile, just give me 1 minute. Okay, thanks. Okay, I'm back. All right, so moving to the next one, which is workflow. Okay, so I just want to show you what has been done in the background. So there are two phases to the whole workflow. One, where user interact with the agent and they submit the ticket to the ticketing tool. That's the first part of the whole workflow. And then there will be second part of the workflow, which I'm going to coming to the next. But let me start with this to create an incident or ticket in a SPLS, right? So as you can see, we started with the teams here. And then we trigger, like user has triggered the bot by asking, okay, I'm missing an email. So we have a topic configured in Copilot Studio agent where it's a missing emails, which answers to the users based on the knowledge source we provided, or KB, or I would say the documents we provided for the agent, so that it can respond back to the user as a probing questions, right? And we say, user, okay, did it resolve your issue? Now users choose no, it's not. And user asks more questions specific to create the ticket. And at the end, that portion, create the ticket in SharePoint Online using the information provided by the user, and return back to the Copilot Studio, and it provides a ticket number to the user. So now user knows, okay, what's the ticket number for the issue he or she is facing. And it ends the conversation there. But if user say, did it resolve the issue by just having the probing question, like checking your spam or checking your junk and so on, then they say, yes, it resolved the issue. So basically what it does is update the ticket. That's what it is. So when I say process, it's basically go ahead and say, okay, I'm closing the ticket and I'm closing the chat for you completely on a Copilot agent, so that that specific conversation ends there, right? Now, the next one is the little bit detailed one, and I would say it's a brain behind that automation. It's nothing to do with agent, but it makes that agent more powerful, and I would say autonomous, right? Where agent can do action on behalf of IT admins and help user right away where it can be possible, right? So when new item created in SharePoint Online list, it triggers, and this should not be happening in production. because this is not the right trigger, I would say. If you have many tickets, many user and different type of tickets being created, it should not be like when item is created. So this is just for POC, and I want to quickly demo you guys. I have done that way, but in production, it's mostly like a schedule base where you check the newly created ticket every 15 minutes or let's say every half an hour, and you process them in a batch, right? But to demo purpose, this is what I've done. Whenever the new item created in the SharePoint list, considering a ticket, it triggers the Power Automate flow, which says, okay, get me all those items, right? And I'll put a filter based on the ticket status that I want to process only the tickets which is open and not yet been processed, right? And then it calls the Azure function, basically, where Azure function use those all the details, connect to Action Online, as you can see here on the blue. And once it called Action Online, it create the PowerShell session, run the message trace based on the information provided, get the response like output, and it return that output to the Power Automate. And Azure function disconnect the PowerShell session and end the session or stop the function. But once we have the output, that output get back to the user, it posted back to the user in a Teams so that the user can see what is the outcome of that. And then we again ask user, does it resolve the issue? If yes, mark the ticket as a close. If it is not resolved, then escalate to the human. In that case, it basically start a group chat between user and the support agent or tech support, right? So I have this Visio files, I have this PPT, and I also have a guide to how to build this bot. I'll share with Mohammed, or I'll put it. I would say I'll put a link with Mohammed, and you'll be able to receive it, so that if you guys want to try it on your own later on, you can try that as well. Okay. So now it's the time for the next demo, or I would say configuration and trigger. How exactly it's been configured. So when I created this demo, there was no different type of agents. Now there are many types of agents. Also, when I configured this demo, there are so many new functionality not has been introduced, which is now available. So it might not be the perfect one, but I would say it's a good start for you so that you can have a look into it. So let me go back to the demo and let me kick in what's in it. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so let me start with the SharePoint Online list to show you how it is configured, what's the format, and how it look like, right? So it's pretty simple. It's just a SharePoint Online list with the title as what's the ticket type or what's the issue, right? The missing email issue. Who reported this issue? So you can see it's me. Sometimes I use different account, right? And then sender email address, recipient email address, expected delivery date, the subject line, ticket number, status, what is the status of the ticket, and most importantly, view entries. And that's where the notes are, right? What happened to that ticket? So as you can see, it's having very little detail, not much, but this can be enhanced as we go. Where everything has been done by the agent can be logged here, basically, right? Okay. And ticket number also automatically generated. Let me show you that. Okay, it's not here. I think I used the logic into Power Automate, but yeah. So let me jump onto Power Automate just to show you what two flows looks like, and then we'll go back to the Copilot Studio agent quickly. So there is a missing email ticket flow, which I'm going to show you, and there is a message stress flow, which I'm going to show you. So missing ticket flow is pretty straightforward. Uh, when when it's basically triggered by an agent. So when an agent calls the flow, it triggers this flow. It's initialize the sender email as PO, sender recipient as address. So whatever information passed by the agent, it comes here, and we initialize those variables. We send an email to the user notifying that, okay, we received your ticket, and we create a ticket item into SharePoint Online list. And as you can see, for the ticket number, I have used this formula, or I would say PowerFX function, where I can say, okay, format date and time, UTC now, YYY, MMDDD, and like basically year, month, date, hour, minutes, and seconds. So that's my ticket number. And who reported that? So it reported by, so this information also been provided by the agent. The next flow is basically, just gonna expand this, okay. Whenever the new ticket created, get all the items. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a query saying, okay, show me the ticket which is in a submitted state, like basically just now submitted. Nothing has been done on that. And then after I post a message in the chat, if you remember, as soon as ticket got created or I got a message, as soon as ticket is started processing using message stress initiated and stuff, I got a message on Teams. But I'm not posting as a service account or a user. I'm posting that into user chat using a bot as a bot account, right? As you can say that. Post as a Power Virtual Agent, chat with the bot, and the bot or our agent I'm using is the same as user was having conversation with, right? And once that is done, I'm basically triggering an HTTP function, Azure function, providing the specific details in the body, and upon response, I'm parsing all the output or outcome from that HTTP function call, and I'm going back to the user with the outcome of that message, right? So if I have a time, I'll show you the Azure function as well. But let me go ahead and show you the actual agent so that we know how it looks like. So we are in a Copilot Studio, or I would say Copilot Studio Designer now. There are a couple of demos I have created, like one for data security, one for project management, and one for IT Service Desk. So let's talk about IT Service Desk. I'm going into it. I have removed the description and general instruction for now. I was playing with it, but you should have the proper general instruction. You want to define how your IT Service Desk agent or any agent should act when user interact with them, right? So it's definitely a recommended and best practice to have it configured here. I was playing with it, so I have to remove it, but in a appropriate or best practice way, I would say that you should have it. As the knowledge, as you can see, I have provided two things. One is support.microsoft.com, because I don't want my agent to go on the internet and look for any unauthorized or untrusted sites and find out any unethical way to do things, right? So I want trusted sites. I use support.microsoft.com. Also, I have my own internal KB articles. It could be SharePoint Online, it could be Confluence, it could be Jira. For now, I have just pasted into the Word document and I uploaded that Word document, right? But you can have different ways of knowledge here. You can just go and click add knowledge. You can choose different things here. Even if you have a ServiceNow ticketing tool, you can have that configured here. I use a SharePoint list as I don't have a ServiceNow ticketing tool. However, if you have a ServiceNow and you have a dev environment for that, and if you want to try working with that as a ticketing tool, yes, Copilot Studio provide that connectivity, that action. Even right now, there are new templates came in, which start with an agent template. And one of the template is ID service task. And I just want to quickly show you. I know it's not what I was supposed to explain, but yeah, as you can see here, there is a predefined template given by Microsoft. It says ID Helpdesk. It's a description. And as you can see, general instruction to the agent on how to react to users' conversation when they interact with this specific agent. So it says, hey agent, this is you, and you are an assistant to help those employees on their ID support within the organization, right? You can query the list of service requests that were opened by employee, right? Which means only by that employee, right? Look up the detail of the specific service request, create a new service request, and answer to those questions based on traditional ID support services, right? And so on. And yeah, how you should make your tone when you interact with the user. So that's very important here too. But important thing is you can see it's connect to your data. It's connect. You can over here if you have the ServiceNow configuration, or I would say ServiceNow dev environment where you want to try this agent with as a POC, then you can use this template. You can create those connections, and that will allow you to interact with ServiceNow through your Copilot Studio agent directly. And also you can add that ServiceNow as the knowledge if you require to. So now going back to the agent we were talking earlier, so I've been playing with this since it was a Power Virtual Agent. It was not named as a Copilot Studio. And some of the things are still similar, but more advanced and enhanced with the AI capabilities. So just to jump on the specific topic, the missing email, to show you how it's been configured and triggered. Now, there are different ways to do it. Now, they released to call those flows and actions directly, where you don't need to configure a topic. You can create an action or the flow directly, and you can call it out. So so the members who joined this call who doesn't know, in a simplified way, agent have different. It's like an octopus. It has different tacticals, or I would say points where it can find those information or to do and so on. So for example, knowledge, it's where it can look for where to find the answer for the user's question or query, right? Topics are like, okay, what kind of topics user can conversation with me, and what things I should do when user do that conversation with me. So it's like a script or the topics to talk about, right? And actions are basically, is there anything I should do when user asks me certain things, right? So let's say create a ticket for me. What should I do? So if user asks me create a ticket, and if there is an action defined into the action list saying that, okay, create a ticket, and to create a ticket, you should trigger or do certain things defining that action, then basically it matches those things and it triggered that action, and that action do perform and complete the task for the user, right? So those are the basic terms. So let me click on missing email quickly and show you what has been done. So there are different trigger phrases to trigger the topic. So it's like a human. When we talk to someone, how we can start talking about specific topic, right? When we're talking to our friends or family or colleagues and so on, we ask something which trigger the whole conversation, right? That's how it is. Like, let's say, hey, where you been? Are you on a vacation? Like, just simple question which trigger the whole conversation regarding your recent trip, right? Where you been? Where did you stay? How was it? With whom you went, and so on, right? Between you and your friends or you and your colleague. The same thing here. You, as a user, you ask certain things to the agent which trigger the specific topic with the agent, and it helps you respond based on the knowledge, based on the action, whatever it has configured with it, right? So for us, it was different phrases like missing email, where is my email, email not in inbox, lost email, not arrived, and so on. So initially we used our data sources, and I have created a generative answer based on that. And then after I have defined a little bit of flow, there are different ways to do this. Now we can directly tag different flows and actions if you don't want to define this workflow in the topics. So there are different ways to do it, and there are more advanced ways to do it as well. So just showing you what has been configured in this demo. So the question, we ask questions to them, are you satisfied with the answer about whatever the answer has been generated by that generative answer based on the knowledge base. And then based on the response, it choose different path. We need to continue or not, and so on. But important thing is the one I was talking about, recipe email address. I just want to show you how I have pulled it up. So as you can see here, so whatever topic has been triggered, it has specific value being used, system user email, right? And that's one we are using to let this agent know, okay, you need to use this specific user who are doing a conversation with you. Use that user email because that's the authenticated user, and there is an email address attribute attached with that user. You can either use that as a recipient email address to do further activity. Another important thing, I don't know if it is resolved or not, but when I was playing with this workflow and trying to make a date format captured by Copilot agent and pass that information along to Power Automate flow, I've noticed Copilot agent, even though it says store that into the date as a date entity, right? Or it's not actually storing, it might be storing as a date, but what happening when it try to pass that information to Power Automate flow so that it can create a ticket in a SharePoint Online list, it was not passing as a date format. Somehow I raised this issue to Microsoft and hopefully it will resolve. But for now, what I had to do is I had to translate that date format into the string format or text format and store it into the new variable as a string. And eventually I'm passing all those information as an action, right? And I'm passing those information to the Power Automate flow missing email ticket _1, which I showed you earlier. And basically ticket been created, and as an output, I'm getting a ticket number, which I'm posting back to the user, saying that, okay, here's your ticket number, right? And I'm ending the conversation here. Okay. I'm not sure, Mohammed, how much time we have, but let me know if you want me to show them Azure function, or else I can jump back to my PowerPoint.
You have you have a time, Samir. Take your time to present all details that you need to present, because your session have been switched from last week to this week to just share all you need, you yeah, all knowledge you have to share.
All right.
So thank
Thank
you
you.
for your time, and go ahead.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks. All right. So there are different. Um, so let me go back to the Azure function and show you how the Azure function look like quickly, so you know the background of this or brain of this automation as well or action. So I have so in a portal.azure.com, there's something called Azure Function app, a function app, and under the function app, I created something called Azure Function Lab app. Uh, and in that, I have Azure Function defined as action message trace. It's the same as your Outlook. Sorry, rerunning a PowerShell on your computer. It's the same. It's just a different way of running a PowerShell in a serverless environment. Um, so there's nothing in particular. But yeah, uh, but Azure Function works a little bit different if you need to troubleshoot. So just want to show you something quickly, which is important for this flow. Okay, over here. So when Azure Function get called, right? Remember we pass on the all the information in the request of that HTTP. That request come as a request variable, and we use the body of that request, and we like whatever the information has been passed from that body. So sender email address has been passed to us as a body of that request. Recipient email has been passed to us. Expected email delivery has been passed to us, as well as the subject. So if you look here, right, all those data has been passed to us as a request body, HTTP request body, and we pass them and we store it into the variable, and we use it further. Now, the any like who some of you might have worked as a messaging admin or worked with them. So what happens when you do a message trace based on the user information? You don't only search for that specific date, because sometimes based on the time zone difference, or maybe user don't know what exact date was, right? So as a part of the automation, what I did, I said, okay, whenever a user provide any date, add 2 days before and after to make sure you do a trace between those date ranges, right? So that we don't miss any email between those dates or range, right? And then after I connect to Action Online, I did a message trace here based on the based on the count, how many emails I received or find in the message trace. I prepare the output message for the user, saying that this is the message user will see. Uh, and once we have all those information gathered, um, we disconnect the action line session, but we post that all the information back to the Power Automate flow as a body or the outcome. We say what was the connection status with Action Online? Did we get a connected or not? What was the status of the message trace? Was it fail, success? What was the end message for the user? Did we found email? We did not found email, or whatever, right? And was disconnect of the session went well or not? Because I don't want an IT admin to go and look into the Azure function every time if it fails. It should notify back to IT admin that specific run of that Azure function went well or not. And that's where we are reporting back to them. So we respond back with specific status code, and that is it. We're here. We can deep dive onto the Azure function maybe a later day, but for now, this is all about it. I want to quickly show you another thing. So you can see analytics here for your agent. Or it should be showing here too, but I don't know what it is. But if you don't want to use this, if you want to see something advanced, you can interact with. You can engage your Copilot Studio or configure it way to have it in Azure app analytics, and you can have more detailed things to it. Now, coming back to how I publish this agent into the teams. So definitely there is an option here to publish. When you click on it, it allows you to select whatever, where you want to publish, how you want to publish, and so on. And also it tell you some risk, if there is any DLP policy configured, and so on. So let's see what it is. You see that? Your agent is shared with all the users in your organization. That is not the recommended way to do it. It should be with the specific user group. If you are making for all users, make sure you are aware of it while you're doing that, and it should be specifically scoped. Your agent runs action that use author's credential. This is again a no, right? You should be using user credential to run your specific flow or action. And where is this? Okay. Oh, okay. That is a DLP policy. So channel settings are unavailable due to your organization DLP policy. So this all to show you that security posture or security side of the or governance side of the Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio provides you the recommendation or the risk, as well as you can configure a DLP policy in your Power Platform to make sure your agent works in a way it required to be. So for example, most of the time I work with the client, they are concerned about what if there is a security policy which is supposed to be defined or used while building the agent. So we start those conversation, and I always tell them there are different level of roles or admins, I would say, who interact with the whole AI agent or automation thing. One is the admin, or I would say system admin or architect, who controls the enterprise or tenant level standard, who go ahead and say, okay, let's configure DLP so that any maker. So second role is the maker. So it's not always the admins or IT admins or the architects who build those agents. It might be a different team who just build the agents, right? Like Power Platform developers, for example, they just develop the apps and stuff, but they might not be controlling the tenant level settings, right? So they called as a maker of the agents. So makers just create the apps or agents, and they might not need to worry about what data security standards or control we need to have, because that's been configured and predefined by the tenant level. So when they work on it, they see this kind of thing. So for example, the channel settings are unavailable. So I have a DLP policy where I say, okay, you should not be able to publish your agent into Facebook or any public sites, right? So as you can see, as soon as I click on a Facebook, so that I can publish this specific agent on a Facebook, you can see the message here. Channel isn't available because your data organizations, sorry, DLP policy in your organizations are not allowed to do so, right? The same way, they cannot change, or I would say configure much of a security authentication option going anonymous, and I'll show you that as well. So there's a setting here, security, and you can see here, I cannot say for this agent specifically that go publicly without any authentication. I cannot choose that one because it's been blocked by my DLP policy, right? So if any one of you or one of your organization is worried about data protection or data security while working with these Copilot agents or autonomous agents, make sure you work on the data security and governance before you start configuring or allow your makers to configure or create agents to publish within your organization or based on the use cases, right? Okay. So going back here, I just want to demo you one quick one, which I used in my recent presentation. I just want to show you how data security can be done. So let's say, for example, this ID service desk agent is helping, and it might collect or might reveal personal identify information, then how to address those scenarios. So let's say, for example, I'm looking for an address and I want to make sure they should not see a postal code of that address, right? So let's say in this demo, let's say I'm looking for Microsoft Office address in Seattle. It's taking longer than expected. Let me go to my chat here. Microsoft Chicago Office address. Yep. So in the test agent, because I'm running as a different account, you can see it has said, okay, the address of the Microsoft Office Seattle is this, but the postal code is redacted, right? Uh, because I have asked both to do that. I don't want user or any interaction to log those information here, right? Not only here, but it should not be logged into Purview, because all this conversation being stored into a Dataverse. So whatever conversation you do with Copilot agent, it's stored in a Dataverse, and there is data retention limits as well. You can set on that. There is a table called conversation table. Uh, in that table, it stored all this information. It doesn't show up to everybody unless you have specific permission to use that a table to see what exactly inside that. But as a compliance and legal team who has access to Microsoft Purview Center, they can go and search. They can run a like audit log search or e-discovery, or they can use data security posture management, the new tool Microsoft introduced called DSPM for AI. You can use that tool to go and search what has been done with this agent if there is a concern of compliance and legal. Yeah. So now you can see, let's say when I am searching for, let's say, Microsoft Seattle office address, right? As you can see, when I'm searching for that, this Copilot agent is not responding. It says, I'm sorry, I cannot provide you that information. But when I'm doing a test, it's allowing me to search that. And the reason is this agent running through a specific credential. When I'm doing a test within the agent as a test, and it has that permission on those content and those documentation. Whereas the user who is connecting, that user has permission to interact with the agent, but it not have permission on that knowledge or that documents. So I see many clients. So this is coming back to the scenario where companies and management or leadership are concerned about what happened when user go and talk to the agent and they have find the information which they not supposed to find. So this is all boils down to what sensitivity labeling you applied on those information. Let's say you are using SharePoint list or SharePoint site as your knowledge, and there are maybe many documents within it. And let's say if you have permission, the user has permission onto that document to read, write, or modify, whatever it is, then Copilot agent basically obey those or follow those permission and fetch the information by interacting with those documents. right? But what if that user don't have permission? This is what exactly you will see in a user response, right? Because as a user, I don't have permission onto that specific file where Microsoft US Office addresses are listed. So my account is only allowed to use or have access to the specific file where Microsoft Canada Office address for Toronto, for example, is listed. So what I'm trying to say is Copilot follow the permission model or sensitivity label model you define on to data sources, right? So if you have a SharePoint Online as a knowledge or data source, it definitely follow that and only provide information where you have permission or access to. Okay. Now, without further ado, let me go back to the PowerPoint and continue our session. So there are different Copilot Studio use cases. Now, Microsoft also provided you different templates. But in terms of service task, I see this is the one of the enhancement you can do. You can have ticket creation, categorization, prioritization based on how the impact is. You can have those all the things done and analyzed by your agent rather than someone you do the routing on their own, right? And based on the context, availability of your support staff, and and the roster you make for their availability for on call and everything, right? Based on that, agent can make a call, or I would say agent can define or decide where to route those tickets, whom to reach out to escalate based on shift and so on. And definitely, us, it's a self-service portal. So if you can integrate your knowledge and FAQ and how to guide, so users can talk to the agent or chat with agent directly and have that knowledge extracted out of it, and it can reduce the number of calls or tickets reaching out to the service desk, just having those probing question asked. And one important one, I always say, it's again going back to the onboarding and offboarding of the user. It's a very complex process for every organization, right? But it can be simplified by giving the new hire an access to the like agent, AI agent like this, where we can have all the things what he or she needs to know for their first day or the first few weeks or first few months while they are still adjusting and ramping up, working with this organization, right? So, yeah. So what we discussed today, we discussed about knowledge base, we discussed about action topics. On the prompts, yes. So prompts are basically, I didn't show you, but let me go back here. Thank you. PPT. I have some prompts here. Let me see if it's still working so I can demo you. No, it's not here. But basically the prompts are here. So if it's like a frequently asked question, right? Like you have a website where you have frequently asked question by user. The same way, if you see there are different prompts being used by user frequently, and you don't want them to type it, you can configure your starter prompts here, and it will be visible under your chat here. You see, over here. You can simply have those view prompts here and it can be visible. Also, it can be available at the start of the agent itself so that user don't need to type. They just need to select, and basically it will trigger all the conversation and topics it has to. And yeah, publishing, as we said, we can publish it into the teams. Let me show you one more thing in publishing, the channels, right? When you go to teams, yeah, I just want to make sure you know this. right? This is the app ID. Show it to everybody. So as you can see, I shared with everyone in my teams. But let's say if I say I just want to see for only specific user, then I can add that user here so that not everybody have that in their teams. Okay. Right. So this is for user onboarding and offboarding process. Once you have your uh, agent defined, and if you want to define an action based on that agent, you can use this workflow. This is just a high level. You can have added more and more things. This is more kind of an IT workflow where user onboarded by ServiceNow, the logic app triggered, then PowerShell Azure function, and there are some on-premise tasks. There are some action online, or I would say M365 tasks run by through. But you can enhance this by adding different knowledge for their HR policies. You can add their uh, different organization level training, which they need to complete. The contact detail, whom to reach out if they need to reach out for, let's say, sales or marketing or accounting or payroll, right? So all those knowledge can be ingested, or I would say integrated with agents, so that when new employee joins, they know what to do, or anyone leaves the organization, they know they know what to do, and so on, right? So yeah, I think thank you for your time. If you have any questions, we can